So what makes a good agile testing? So let's try to look into these aspects in a deeper way. So as we refer, good agile testing basically adheres to the overall guidance which is provided for the product development. So these are the few practices which makes good agile testing. So first practice, as we call, is those people who are performing the testing, they should be part of the cross-functional Scrum team. So there is, as we said in Scrum, there is no separate team for testing. It is just one team, which is the Scrum team, which comprises of, say, product owner, Scrum master, and the development team. So your testing team is part of that same cross-functional Scrum team. So there's no separate team. So hence, this happens to be a great practice in the case of agile testing. Also, as part of the team, they participate in backlog refinement. So the testing team knows the scenarios, they know the user stories from the starting itself because they are part of the backlog refinement sessions. So there's no element of surprise, and there's no one who needs to download that information to them. So they are part of the information sharing from the starting itself. So your testing effort, as we call, is included in the sizing of your product backlog item. So there's no additional testing effort which needs to be estimated when you are trying to do the backlog, product backlog item sizing. It is always inbuilt and always included. So there is a collaboration with the team to establish the definition of done. So when you are trying to establish the definition of done, you clearly call out with the help of testing team that yes, these are the test scenarios which we need to run. We need to have, say, unit testing. We need to have, say, integrated stage testing. We need to have, say, regression testing, performance testing, load testing. So all these things are captured as a part of definition of done. So that's how you put your good agile testing practices upfront. And as we call, testing is more iterative in nature, it is more adaptive in nature. So you are thinking of improving the testing practices when and wherever it is applicable and required. So that's how your good agile testing helps you to be always iterative and adaptive in your approach. Last but not least, adoption of a paired approach to perform the testing. So you always go for the paired approach. So you always go for a paired approach when you're trying to perform the testing. So these are the few make good things for the agile testing. So now let's try to refer and understand the importance of refactoring. So refactoring, as we called, basically is a phenomena where you first do write the test case and then you execute the test case. Since there's no piece of code being there, so the test case are supposed to fail, and then you write the piece of code to make it happen, and then you try to redesign the piece of code based on the earlier view. So that's the refactoring. But then with this image, let's try to see how and what message and how is the importance of refactoring being understood. So when you see when you see the glass or window of a building is broken, right? What kind of message it basically sends to the people who pass by? So that shows that obviously there are issues with the design. It also shows that how strong is the design. So these are the few things when you try to see the window having cracks. So similarly, when there are cracks in the design, in the code, piece of code, that shows that your piece of code is not stable. So refactoring is certainly important to ensure that if there are any kind of cracks being there in the code, it should be relooked upon and reworked upon at the earliest. So how you define those things? So if anything which is red, so what you try to do is you first write a test that fails. So first you write a test, and I'm sure it will fail because there's no piece of code which is there executed. And then obviously it turns green Why? Because you just write enough code to pass the test. So once the test fail, you work along the development team, and then you write just enough code to make it pass, so it turns green. And then the third step is you try to do the refactoring of the code. So what does it mean? As part of refactoring of the code, you try to improve the code by suggesting and improving the design of the code. So you try to